In this episode, we talked to Wnat Ross from the Wnat Ross YouTube channel. Really pumped to really bring you this episode because we talk about so much when it comes to SEO. He runs a ton of client work, runs case studies constantly on his YouTube channel. I'll be sure to link that down in the description as well. But we talk about everything. We talk about artificial intelligence, the future of SEO, what's going on with SEO right now, his type of keyword research, or his methods of keyword research that he uses. More specifically, what type of content he's going to be avoiding right now because of the rise and the changes with AI and SEO and Google and the directions that they seem to be going. He has some pretty interesting insights in it because he's right there on the ground floor getting as many clicks to his clients as possible. We talk about one particular case study where he's getting over 1 million clicks to one particular client, and he breaks down exactly how he does that so that he can get, maximize the amount of clicks he gets from Google. We talk about technical SEO, the types of things he would change with a website so that you don't confuse Google. You give Google all the information that they need so that you can get as many clicks as possible. So be sure to check out this amazing episode with Wnat Ross. But before we get started, would you like to build a blog that's worth at least $100,000? Well, it's easier said than done, but it's very possible with the right type of direction. And sometimes when we are in, what would you say, the comment section of YouTube videos, or maybe we're in some blogging Facebook groups and we're getting information, we're asking questions, trying to build up our traffic and income, a lot of times we can't validate that information is correct until we go on our blog and try it and then realize it was wrong the whole time. And I really hate that. I really would love for more people to avoid bad advice online when it comes to building up a blog, which is why I have created oneblogaway.co. That's oneblogaway.co. I'll be sure to leave a link down in the description and in the first pinned comment. That's oneblogaway.co. There you can get some good information that you can act on, that you are confident in, so that you can continue moving forward with your blogging business to get it to $100,000. There is community there where you can hang out with other bloggers who are also trying to build up their blogs, as well as some full-time bloggers where you can pick their brains literally as to how they were able to build up their businesses. You get to work with me directly as well. There's training there that you can check out so that you can really dive into individual aspects of your business and make sure that you are doing them 100% correct as well. And finally, we have live coaching that you can check out right there face-to-face with me. So if you're serious about building up your blog, to get it to $100,000 or to replace your income or whatever you'd like to do, be sure to go check out oneblogaway.co. A link will be in the description and in the first pinned comment. Now let's jump into the interview with Wnat Ross from the Wnat Ross YouTube channel. And welcome back to the Blogger Evolution Podcast. My name is Chris, and here we have the privilege of speaking with Wnat Ross from the same named YouTube channel, the Wnat Ross YouTube channel, where he talks about SEO and growing sites, working with clients, and how he's able to get them some pretty outstanding results. I reached out to him because the content on his channel is so amazing, and I wanted to just pick his brain, and that's what we're going to do today about SEO and a few other cool things that I might have up my sleeve that I didn't tell him about. But anyways, thanks so much for being on the show, Wnat.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, just give people like a quick background as to how you got into SEO, where you are now with it, and maybe a little bit of the successes that you've had so far.
Yeah, for sure. So I started in the SEO space I started with dropshipping first, and had a pretty rough time spending a lot of money on Facebook ads. And I basically wanted to find out how to like grow online for free. I'm sure we've all put in that keyword inside of Google.
Yeah.
And I found SEO. And so I went on YouTube, started learning about it, did the classic process that everyone does. And then I put those skills to the test. And the first kind of case study, which is actually I have a video on this, was creating a fake website or I guess a real website for a fake business in the area that I was living in at the time, which was in Vancouver. And so in Canada. So I made this website that was representing a fake dentist, and I tried to rank it with the basic things that I knew. I also learned, I happened to start off with Black Hat as well. So I built a little PBN at the start. And then a couple months later, I kind of forgot about the website. So I built those PBMs, built a bit of content, built a Google My Business. A couple months later, I started getting emails and like calls directly to my phone because I had added my phone number to this Google My Business. And it was real people that wanted to speak to this dentist, right? And I honestly didn't know what to do. I didn't even expect that website to rank. But yeah, after a couple months, it was number one in the area. which was solid, and that kind of like proved my first case study, and then from there it's kind of grown. I've worked in a startup as a head of SEO, and then halfway through that, I also started a YouTube channel, just talking about different case studies, how I work, and how I do SEO, and so far so good. Channel's growing quite a bit,
Yeah.
and and yeah, I get to speak to amazing people like you, so it's phenomenal.
Oh shucks, stop. It's cool, man. Very cool. I like how you kind of channeled your inner Kyle Roof by just creating, just random stuff on the internet that doesn't even exist and still
Yeah,
ranking it and getting calls
yeah,
for a fake doctor. That's pretty amazing.
yeah,
I did like how you said you went the ads route. A lot of people go the ads route. I went the ads route,
right,
and you just realized that free leads are so much better. you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
Getting free leads is so much better. Like I mean, I know if you had to choose, you definitely go with the free way, but because of how ads can do stuff so much faster, do you
right.
think that's worth it, or do you think SEO is like always the way to go?
I mean, listen, I think a powerful marketing strategy has both, right? If you're someone that
Yeah.
can afford both, and you also have a time frame that allows for an SEO strategy to develop, then I would work with both. But obviously, if your wallet doesn't allow you to like fully invest in paid, then putting in just a little bit of money sometimes isn't worth it, right? I think I've seen the most success with paid when clients are willing to invest a lot of money, and they're willing to invest in tests and to properly see that channel grow. So yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it depends. Uh, but I would also say that I'd probably do both. I'd probably do both.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, it's I like to use SEO as like the proof of concept,
Yeah,
and then you kind of put add some fire to that by infusing paid ads, and
yeah,
usually you can start to scale from that.
hmm
So, all right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and so first of all, I did want to mention this. So when I watch your YouTube videos, I
yeah.
must say your hair is amazing. All right, you're outstanding. Like I find myself
Oh
being
my
hypnotized
goodness.
by the hair. So how do you keep your hair so perfect, man? It's great.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I've gotten a few comments about it already, and it stresses me out because I don't know. I just think I've been blessed with nice hair, and I'm super grateful for it. But I'm scared. I'm scared to go bald. The whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's really cool because you watch the hair basically, and you need to play that. Makes you need some merch now. With the hair.
That's a
The
great idea. I
Yeah,
like that.
no, it's a good draw. It's a good draw. Anyway, I digress. All right, let's go ahead and jump into SEO. All
Yeah,
right,
let's do it.
so you work with a lot of clients. You work with a lot of people, and you've had some pretty amazing results with them. I remember watching a video of yours where, over the last few years, you had one client break 1 million clicks, which
Yeah,
is pretty awesome.
yeah.
And you had another one who was also having some good success. I can't remember right at the moment, but let me
hmm
ask you this: of these success stories, what would you say has been the biggest contributing factor to their success with SEO?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question, and I think the quick answer is content. It's content. I'm very big on content, writing high quality content, writing structured content that's properly optimized. Whenever link building is necessary, that's also something that happens, right? But I think, and this is what I try to convey in all of my YouTube videos and on my YouTube channel, that content is the bread and butter. And if you're not thinking content first, then you might not be thinking the right way. I don't know. That's where I've seen the most success. Just diving deep into
Just,
content.
just good
Yeah,
content. Gotcha. So,
yeah.
what makes good content, Joe?
I mean, that's a great question. Let's see. I mean, I hate to be the guy that says the classic SEO thing, right? Right, content's better than your competitors, but it's true. It's true. Like if you haven't done the proper research to see what your competitors are writing and how they've written it before you create your content, then you're doing it wrong. Also, I'm a big believer in finding out all the little things that they haven't mentioned, and trying to not. I don't want to say 10x because 10x is very difficult, right? Especially now when things are more competitive. But improving that content, going deeper, finding a different angle, giving it some type of twist, some type of insight that maybe they haven't added. I think that's what makes it different.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Because you want to try to find that unique angle. Because I see this weird circle. With tools such as Surfer SEO and
Yeah.
Phrase and all of these Market Muse, you use these tools and they analyze the front page of Google, and you tend to just regurgitate what's already out there. So even though these tools are super powerful, and like of all of them, probably my favorite is probably Phrase, right? Because I use it on
Okay.
most of my stuff. But I'm
Nice.
curious, how do you prevent that great content production from just becoming the same thing that's already rewashed on Google?
Yeah, honestly, that's something that's it's one of the biggest problems in content now, and with the rise of AI content generators, it's gonna be crazy, right? Because there's just gonna be this massive influx. Well, it already exists, but this
Yeah,
massive influx of content that's very similar and kind of like low quality. And I think the best way of kind of beating that trend is working with a writer, an actual writer that knows what they're talking about, that is an expert in that subject. They'll know how to take that content to the next level, right? You can't do everything as a business owner who's also doing all these other things. That's why I like to work with content writers who know exactly how to communicate all the different things that should be being communicated. Sorry to give
gotcha.
you
So
a generic answer there, but
no. Well, see, that's my job. I'm supposed to come in and try to get out the
yeah,
specifics on it. So basically, what you're saying is to create good content, it's best to come up with something unique, right? Best to
yeah,
actually sit there and brainstorm and a proper angle that you can go at that it may not be covered so far
yeah,
yet on that
yeah,
front page. And I know you got to be careful with that, right? Because you have this whole thing that's called search intent. And if you stray too far off the mean, then you end up not providing what Google actually wants.
yeah.
So, how do you determine search intent, but then stay close enough to not be going too far with something that's so unique that it's not even what Google is looking for?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I mean, the boundary should be pretty clear, right? Right from the get go when you're taking a look at a keyword. Just by taking a look at the results, seeing what people are talking about, um, you shouldn't have to stray too far from the mean, right? To create something that's better than everybody else. I also want to say that oftentimes what I found a lot of success with is the actual structure of the content, adding things like snippet bait, um, allowing the content to kind of perform not only based on the quality but also on how the on page is set up, right? I think I've seen a lot of success with that, getting featured snippets where clients just hadn't put things in the right places, and you just show up with a blog post and you just kind of take over that keyword. So yeah, so to answer your question, the search intent should be pretty clear right from the get-go. You don't want to stray away too far from that. But also an additional thing is working on that on page, and yeah, making sure that that's good to go.
Yes. So you're looking at the front page and you're looking to see what's already there and then determining the search intent from that. So if you Google a phrase and they're all talking about, yellow squirrels, you're like, hey, that might be the search intent for this. And
Sure.
you will somehow find a way to include it in your article.
Right.
Now, you
Right.
said an interesting word, snippet bait,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So could you explain what snippet bait is?
Yeah. So snippet bait basically has to do with uh, literally just that. So bait for featured snippets, right? So there's quite a few ways that we can do this. The most common way in the way that I've seen most success with is paragraph snippet bait, which is basically um, you want your paragraph to come up as a featured snippet, so you add the answer to that specific keyword in a short. I forget exactly what it is. I think it's maybe 40 to 50 characters, or 40 50 words. Sorry, right under some type of subheading. Right, so answering that question directly. That's the most popular, I'd say, type of snippet bait. And what you do with that is you basically give Google a really clear signal that the answer that the people are looking for with that keyword is found exactly in that spot on that page, right? So the main reason for having that chunk of content is to get that snippet bait. You can also get snippet bait with videos. You can get snippet bait with lists, with tables, right? It's just making sure that the page is properly formatted to come up for those featured snippets.
Gotcha. Do you do anything special like put it in bold or Make sure it's in a certain spot on the page.
No, I like to flood my long form content if it's super long. I like to flood it with subheadings that include some type of keyword variation in it. And I know that almost sounds like I'm keyword stuffing, but it's more just making sure that the page is properly broken up. Also for the reader, right? If you have 8,000 words of content, breaking it up into different sections with headings, it's also easier for them to read. But um, but yeah, that's the main thing that I do is I'll have a heading and then I'll have some type of snippet bait, right? Whether that's a list or whether that's a paragraph or a table, um, that will do quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A snippet doesn't always have to be a paragraph, right? It can be
No. Yeah.
anything. It can be like you said, a list. It can be
A
a video
table.
or something, a
Yeah. Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now some people can hear that because you answer that question really early in the article, but I want people to read my whole article. Why don't I just
Right.
put it at the end?
I mean, yeah, I think that's more. I think that depends more on the flow of the article more than anything, right? You also don't want to just like stuff a bunch of snippet bait throughout the article because then the article doesn't really make sense for the reader either. So yeah, I think you just have to be mindful of the flow of the article and how it reads.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that
Yeah,
makes plenty of sense, and just make sure it works best for the reader. I would assume,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, all right. So let's shift gears a little bit. You did mention AI a little bit
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
and I don't know if you've seen
There's a
I'm
lot
sure
going
you've
on.
seen Chat GPT, but
There's a lot going on.
Google just talked about their whole Bard thing
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
coming
yeah, yeah.
out and all of this stuff. Are you worried about that at all when it comes to content creation online?
Um, I mean, in terms of content creation, I'm not super worried. I think more than anything, it's gonna do great things because it's gonna be able to help people um, not only create content more efficiently, but it's also going to help speed things up. Now, is there going to be a problem inside of Google? I think that that problem already exists, right? The whole low quality content. That's something
Yeah,
that people are already trying to churn as much content as possible, as quickly as possible, right? This just like adds a different gear to it. Um, I am worried that uh, a lot of people are getting into the space without really acknowledging what's important. So I think a lot of people are going to get hurt by just trying to publish as much content as possible without thinking about on page, without thinking about link building, right? There's a lot of focus on just like, oh, you can just generate so much content now. But only generating content without acknowledging all the other parts of SEO, um, you're not going to see great success, right?
hmm
So yeah, that's where I see it. But I personally see it as a good thing. Most of the time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bard. Right, they announced it today, but not too much info on it either. Also, Bing just came out today that they were talking about, or no, they officially talked about the fact that they're linking ChatGPT with Bing, and you could use it today, or there's a wait list or something. I haven't had time to take a look at it yet,
yeah,
but yeah, we're going to see what that looks like in terms of the search results. Are there going to be even less clicks? I have no idea. Right,
yeah. I mean,
that's the one thing that it's questionable.
yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, like it's kind of weird, right? Because I have one of the Chrome plugins where you ask a question to
Hmm.
Google and it'll actually, ChatGPT will give you the answer right there. But in a lot of instances, when you Google something, Google will tell you, "Oh, we found this in 0.00001 second or something like that." Right? It's
Right.
something ridiculously low. But when I write it, I have to wait for ChatGPT to tell me what it is,
Right.
um, because they have to type it out. Now, granted, I know it's going to get faster over time and things like
Hmm.
that, but maybe I'm just I'm an old school blogger, I guess you could say. I like to do things, kind of right on above board, even though I still have some gray hat slash black hat type
Yeah.
tendencies
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, I don't know. I think there's still going to be a contingent of people who are just looking for a list of websites so that they can make their own determination versus just what an AI tool thinks it needs to be.
Yeah.
So, with that said, there's a one thing that Bard actually, that's the AI tool that Google is releasing. One thing that they are catching a little flack for early on is that they're not referencing the sites in which
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
they're getting the stuff from
Yeah.
their content from. Um, is that right? Is Google doing something shady? What do you think?
I don't know. I honestly haven't had enough time to take a proper look at it, but I did see that Bing was referencing all the different websites, and yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Google's uh if Google's like slow to react to everything that's happening with OpenAI, I'm not sure if they were ready.
No, I don't
Um,
think so.
yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of people on Twitter just saying that it's Google. You know, Google's been in the AI space for years, and they're way more advanced than OpenAI, but still, they're not reacting in the Google fashion. You know,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot on Twitter that Bing just Googled Google. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't
Well, I
know.
mean,
I don't know. It's
Google
going
has
to be
been,
interesting.
I think, 25 years or so now, or close to it. Google has been basically the king of search, you
Yeah.
know? And you can look at that as, okay, they're the old men that they're about to just get put out the pasture, or you can look at it as though they really know what they're doing. They're just taking a more slow and methodical
Right.
approach to it. But while this clash of the titans, billions of dollars being thrown everywhere, you have us niche site guys, who are creating small niche sites
Right.
about particular topics. And we're like, well, where are we going to fit into this? I know you have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of clients who have their own
Mm-hmm.
services and
Mm-hmm.
products that they're promoting. How do you think AI is going to affect niche websites?
Well, for example, I'm actually working on a little side project, a little affiliate website right now, and I'm using OpenAI, just the OpenAI APIs to help me build content
Hmm.
for a lot of these pages. So I think in terms of, so sorry, was the question in terms of ChatGPT versus Bard, or was it more just like AI content?
Yeah, like AI content in terms of how it'll affect niche websites specifically versus a site that has their own mode of monetization. Like, I know you work with a lot of clients who have their own services, they have their
Hmm.
own products that they promote,
Oh, I see
but
what you mean.
we have these niche site guys like myself who pick golf and just create a site on it, and
Right, right,
pick
right.
all these bowling or something and do that. Is Do you think SEO and AI is going to completely stomp us out, or is it just another opportunity for us? What are you thinking?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking that a lot of the informational type queries are not looking very good. Are not looking very good. If there's a way for these AIs to give you a quick answer, then it's kind of complicated. The difference here is, I think, when you're looking at something that's more subjective, or something that's comparative, or something
Yeah,
that's uh, probably relevant to a niche website, right? Where you are comparing different things, or you're reviewing something. That's something that the AI can't do, or can't do yet, at least, unless they start pulling data um, directly from these websites. So yeah, I think yeah, if you're targeting a lot of these informational keywords, it might not be looking too good.
yeah. I mean, I can see
Kind
your
of
point.
scary.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I can see your point there. Um, but I mean, I've been doing SEO since about 2015,
Okay.
and there is a cataclysmic end of the world scenario that comes out every single year,
Yeah, 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 for sure.
and I'm curious if this is just one of those, or if it really is, something that we should be worried for. And when I look at my analytics, for example, I pull up an insight and look at my analytics, and a well-written article that's informative, that gets to the point, but then adds extra stuff. People can stick around 6, 7, 8 minutes
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
an individual page, and yeah, it would be nice to get that quick answer, but I don't know if the quick answer people are the people I want on my site, anyways,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's
And
true.
I'm curious if that's I like to think that the people who actually stick around on the content and actually read what I have to say based on my experience, right? Not just regurgitating information, but actually, hopefully being in the niche, and actually
Hmm.
working towards it and with it, can help separate you by building an actual brand rather than just spitting out information. What do you think? Am I off base with that?
No, yeah, no, I'd have to agree with that. And also, in terms of the SEO is dead, that comment, I think that's, yeah, that's something that happens every year, right? There's always some
Yeah.
type of update, some type of news where everyone's like, "Oh, it's time to pack up, do something else." But we're gonna see how this evolves. I still think we're gonna be doing SEO for quite a few number of years, so shouldn't be stressed about that.
Hmm.
And yeah, the quality of traffic that comes to your website, um, yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had some sites that got, maybe not demolished by an algorithm update, but
Okay.
got hit a little bit, right?
Hmm.
But then I noticed that in some instances, the revenue on the site increased,
Really?
or it at least stayed the same. So that makes me believe that the type of content, the type of traffic that was coming to the site
Mm-hmm.
that I lost out on, maybe Google made an adjustment here or there. It didn't affect the revenue, which means they're still sending me to people who need to come to my site, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's like part of it as well, because I don't know if you saw, I think Matt Diggity just recently released a video where he created an AI site where
Yeah.
he claimed he just pressed a couple of buttons and
Yeah.
got the site up back in like last March of 2022 or something, and the site's up to 8,000 a month already. The only difference said that he made sure that he infused a human in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
actually go through the process. So the model still works. He could probably sell that site at 8K. That's $300,000-$400,000 site. So it makes me wonder, like, even though these things are happening, and maybe informational content might be a little bit at threat, as long as you know how to run a website and build a brand, then I think there's still going to be a need for us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. And yeah, it's what I was saying. It's just a lot of these very basic keywords that are already being replaced by featured snippets or by some type of feature on the page, whether it's like a knowledge panel or, for example, looking up like time of day in whatever area. Um, you're not going to look into the search results, right? You're just going to see the answer right there. And so
Yeah.
for those informational keywords, things are already not looking that good, right? There's already a featured snippet for a lot of these informational keywords. So I think it's going to be a slight adjustment in that sense. But yeah, I totally agree with you. If you know how to run a website, if you're doing things, um, acknowledging that this might happen in the future, that AI might start to take over some of these keywords, um, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. I saw one thing, it was pretty funny. They said that the websites that back in the day would answer the question as to like what time is it, right?
Right.
They used to be a website that you had to click on and go look at it and see what time it actually was. Now
Yeah.
if you say
Yeah.
what time is it to Google, it pops it up right there, and it doesn't even bother going to the other. You never really bother going to the other articles because
No.
you don't need anything else, any other information.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of keyword research, it would be wise to not just go after something that has a quick answer, but also, maybe the answer is it depends. That
Yeah.
way you can give a nice specific answer to the question, but then, naturally someone's going to have to elaborate on it
Yep.
further.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, cool. So, all right, cool. So let's move off of that.
Yeah. Enough
You,
AI
you
talk. Enough.
yeah, exactly. You passed the test. You're good. You're fine. All right. So, I know, again, working with clients, you see a lot of websites when they're first onboarding
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, I want to increase my traffic. I need new leads. I want this. I want that. Yada yada."
Right.
What's the biggest problem you're seeing on these sites from the beginning, and what do you do to improve them?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, the thing I see the most is technical issues. People that have built websites without really understanding SEO, without understanding things like a website structure, internal links, um, creating all the essential pages. I think that's one of the things that I see the most. And yeah, what I do with that is I just run a quick audit, find all those technical issues, get that done as quick as possible, and then move forward with content first, get those foundational links as soon as possible. And yeah, but it is interesting how many people build websites without really considering SEO. That's why I wish SEO was actually more well known, because
Yeah.
we'd avoid a lot of these really simple problems. Like I see so many businesses where even just a small change, like adding the keywords to the right sections of a blog post, for example, or a landing page, it changes everything, right? It changes it. Like they'll go from the 88th position to the 14th overnight just from properly placing things. And it's that lack of knowledge that I think is the greatest, the thing that I see the most, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially in terms of the technical side of things, because you got to remember when we work with clients, they're not SEOs, right? They are plumbers,
For
or
sure.
they
Oh, for
are,
sure. Yeah, yeah,
electricians, and they're like, no, you just handle the SEO or whatever it
yeah,
happens to be.
yeah.
So like technically, you'll get a site, you'll try to find a whole bunch of technical stuff wrong with it,
Hmm.
probably like cleaning up 301s, 404s, and
Absolutely. Yeah,
moving the keyword here. And do you have a particular tool you like to use to run these audits, or do you just kind of have a list that you go by?
Yeah, I'm a big Ahrefs user, and I'll start off with a really basic Ahrefs site audit, which will cover most things unless the website is a big, heavy hitting website. And then for that, I'll use something like Screaming Frog just to find some
Yeah.
more in depth things. Um, but yeah, those are the two main tools I use.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty standard, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
Ahrefs is like creme de la creme, basically, of what
yeah.
you can do online. I mean, it's an expensive tool, but for what it gives you, it's outstanding,
It's game changing.
And
It's game
yeah,
changing.
it's game changing.
Yep.
And then using Screaming Frog to look at stuff very technically with a site makes sense.
Hmm.
So you look at a site technically and you try to
Hmm.
fix all of those glaring things, and you can usually get some pretty quick wins once you fix
Absolutely.
some technical stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and then you set your sites on to content.
Yeah.
All right. So um, two questions. The first one, let's just say you have a site that tried to do SEO, right? And it's
Hmm.
out there. They have articles that are ranking. Have you ever run into like a well SEO'd article, but it's still not ranking? And what would you do to get it to rank?
Yeah, I think in those cases, it's usually an authority issue, right?
Mm,
Because even if you have great content, if you're ranking, if you're trying to rank against someone like, I don't know, let's say Home Depot or IKEA, you're gonna have a hard time, right?
yeah,
Those guys have really high domain authority. If you're a brand new website, even though that content is perfect, you need to give it some extra oomph, right? Some extra something, and that's usually in the form of backlinks. Backlinks will give it that push, right?
gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes plenty of sense. And then, do you do like topical authority and all of that kind of thing? Building out, do you build tight silos, or is it more just let's get all the low competition stuff out of the way and just go for it?
Yeah, so it will depend a lot on what stage the site is on, right? If the site hasn't built all the pages that should be covered in a topical map, then we'll cover that first, right? We'll also try and mix that in with all the low hanging fruit, so you get again those quick wins while also hitting that topical map and getting that topical authority. That is so important, right? At the end of the day, yeah, I feel like authority it gets spoken about a lot in the SEO space, and usually people are referring to backlinks and link building, but topical authority, it's going to be super important moving forward. I mean, it is already, but it's going to be even
Yeah.
more, I think, moving forward.
So in terms of topical authority, you're just like if you were making a site on, or some maybe like we mentioned a plumber before,
Hmm.
you're gonna have one. You're not gonna have one article that just talks about toilets. You're gonna have 20 articles probably that talks about it to try to get that topical authority. Is that the way that you would go about it, or would you do something different?
Yeah, yeah, it's really based off keyword research, right? Just understanding what the space looks like in terms of all the different keywords that are out there, finding all those possibilities where it makes sense to create a page, and finding the possibilities where a keyword should probably just be a section on a page, right? If I see that a keyword belongs or a keyword should have its own page, then we create that as a page, and you kind of build that topical map like that. And yeah, I
What do you
also
do to determine that?
so it depends a lot on the results of the keyword. So if it's like some type of parent topic that has that appears on like multiple keywords. So let's say, all right, let me give you an example. Let's say we're talking about plumber in Barcelona, for example, right? So plumber in Barcelona will have a set of results. If you then have um, 24-hour plumber in Barcelona, if that's the same results, then maybe I can add the 24-hour as like a section in a specific page where I'm targeting that keyword, right? If the results are different for these different keywords, then it might make sense to create a different page. So that's kind of like a really basic of an analysis of what that looks like. The results will basically tell you almost everything you need to know, right? And what Google is
Mhm.
looking for.
Yeah, no, that makes plenty of sense. Because you're basically just trying to read Google, and
Hmm.
Google will tell you what you want to know if you know how to ask it.
Yeah,
And by Googling two different phrases, then you're able to determine whether there's enough meat on that bone, I guess, that will require a
exactly.
second
Yeah,
article
exactly.
versus because you don't want to worry about keyword cannibalization, right?
Exactly.
And that whole mess.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's switch gears again. You did mention backlinks. So
Mhm.
what's your favorite way to get backlinks?
Honestly, I've been working with a lot of clients that have a pretty long list of customers. So a lot of the clients that I get are service based, and
Hmm.
this was something new that I've been working on. Well, I'm sure people do this often, but it's new to me, just because I started working with a lot of these service clients where a lot of these businesses are basically recurring services, right? So customers are usually very happy with the service and they'll come back and use that service a bunch of times. And so one of the things that I found a lot of success with is reaching out to those clients, right? I think that's
Yep.
one of the greatest difficulties in the SEO, in the link building space is trust, right? How many emails do you send before people tell you to just um, I don't want to say a bad word here,
You
but
know what?
yeah, before they tell you to go away, right? So um, with these clients, you already have that trust, right? And if you actually have a good relationship with them, then it's super easy to just talk about a possibility of collaboration. Hey, maybe we can do something on your blog. Maybe we can talk about something on our Instagram profile, and in some way collaborate. And that I've seen a lot of success with, especially with um, with great businesses, right? I mean, it's easy to say that, but businesses that treat their customers super well, the customers are honestly willing to do almost anything. And a blog seems like something that's minute to them, right? It's just a quick blog. They
Hmm.
a lot of times also a lot of these clients don't really understand the value of the blog, so yeah, well, we can easily set up a blog post for you guys. It's no worries at all. So I've seen a lot of success with that. And then the standard guest posting, that always works, but I am slowly trying to guest post as little as possible in terms of like the generic guest posting of just like getting a massive list of websites, finding those emails, and then trying to guest post there. I'm trying to find different ways where I don't have to endure sending 5,000 emails and getting 6 replies. Right? I'm just exhausted of that. So trying to be a little bit more creative with it, and yeah, the customer thing really works.
Yeah, that's actually a next level move there with going with existing clients, and then if you're already providing top notch service, then it
Exactly.
won't be too much of a stretch, right? To be
Yeah.
able to get a link on their site. Are you worried about relevance at all?
Yeah, so obviously there's a whole filtering that needs to happen before you do an outreach, right? We're not just contacting any clients. We try and see if there's any type of cohesion with the content, with the relevance of the website, and then if there is, then we'll create some type of content that makes sense, right, for that partnership or for that collaboration. Um, but yeah, the relevance is definitely an important topic that we consider before we start any link building process for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And you normally see some pretty big gains after you get some good backlinks to a site.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wish I could. Actually, I have a video on it on my channel, but there's this really clear example of how of like a direct impact of a backlink. Obviously, we can't say direct because there's so many things going on
It's
in Google
hard,
that
yeah.
it's really hard to know. But I can literally see like the day that a backlink. So I think there were 3 different phases. The first phase was we created content on this specific service page that we launched, and I think it ended up ranking like on the 8th page, right? Basically irrelevant. We then improved that content a little bit, resubmit it to Google. That page I think bumped up maybe 10 or 15 positions, still kind of irrelevant. We then got a first backlink to that page through this method of reaching out to, I forget, it might have been like a lawyer, and we were talking about some type of legal issue for this service client. And then we saw another spike, right? And this is in the process of like 4 or 5 months, right? So we see another spike, and it goes up like 30 positions. We're now around, I want to say like second page, maybe bottom of second page. And then we get 2 or 3 more links through this method, and we're now on the first page. We're not number one, but
Wow.
I think we're seventh, eighth, maybe sixth. I don't know exactly. There's a video on it on my channel, but there was nothing else that was happening to those pages. Nothing else,
Yeah.
and it could be that it was just Google changing how it was seeing that page. Maybe the change of content had some type of late impact. We were also adding internal links, but I think that it was a super direct impact from that backlink. And so yeah, so we see some pretty significant results. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember you mentioning on that million click case study we mentioned earlier,
yeah,
in your video where you talked about it, that they didn't do much link building.
yeah.
So
So
what do you attribute their success to?
for sure, yeah. So it's a bit of a different client here because these guys they were big in the fitness space and they had a fitness app, right? And so right off the bat, these guys, when they came to me, they basically had a website that had already a decent domain authority, but they had no content, no SEO on the website, titles, meta description, nothing was done. It was basically an empty website that just had been getting a bunch of backlinks because the app was being shared a lot and it was ranking quite well in the app store, right? And so the way I saw it was that it didn't actually need any serious link building. It was already getting naturally, it was already getting a bunch of backlinks. What it needed was just content. Content and properly structuring and organizing the content on the website so that when you start producing content at scale, you don't start accidentally creating a bunch of orphan pages and everything's properly connected. You're building that topical map, and you're targeting all the keywords that you should be. And so for this specific example, they're now doing link building because they're trying to get to the next level
Yeah.
of traffic, right? Because you kind of hit a ceiling once the content you're producing reaches that keyword difficulty ceiling. Um, but but yeah, I think when we got to 1 million clicks, there wasn't really any serious link building done, which was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard situations. Usually, I try to get out of a site before it gets that big, but sometimes I've heard people say, yeah, if you want to get 100, 250 or so thousand page views a month,
Hmm.
you can do that pretty effectively without link building.
Yeah,
But if you want to get like to half a million, a million, whether or not you're doing backlinking actively or passively, that's what's contributing to that amount of traffic
right.
just from Google. So, would you agree with that, or can you
Yeah,
really
I mean,
build a million clicks a month with no active backlinking?
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could, and I'm sure there's people out there doing it. But just from thinking about it logically, right? To get to that next level, you're going to have to be targeting bigger keywords. Those bigger keywords have higher difficulties. To get to those higher difficulties, you're going to need some type of help with your content, right? I think backlinks and link building is the easiest and the most direct impact that you can have. So I want to say, yeah, I want to say to get to that next level, you need to be doing some type of backlink, some type of link building.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
All right, cool. So, using that as our kind of a segue to the next point here,
yeah.
Google updates. Have you ever ran into a client that recently got hit by an update? And if you did, what would you do or suggest to fix it?
To be honest, I try and run a very very white hat um, service with my clients, so I haven't seen any crazy search fluctuations like a lot of people have. Just
Hmm.
because, again, if we do link building, it's super clean. If we do content, obviously the content is super clean. Um, so nothing too significant. But the main thing with any algorithm update is just to wait, right? A lot of people, they'll get hit by something and then they'll just react and they'll just start changing things. And a lot of the times those changes will come back and they'll kind of revert because something that Google takes away, maybe they give back later. It's not super clear. And so the best strategy there is just to wait, give it a few months and see if things go back to normal. Obviously, if they don't, if you got hit seriously hard, then you gotta do a deep dive on the site and see what's causing that. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any examples to give you.
Yeah, no worries. I remember I know we keep bringing him up, but Cal Roof, he was mentioning how usually an algorithm update just knocks you back down to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
I'm curious though, because I mean, I know we talked about AI content before, but I
yeah.
just thought about this question here. Um, in one of your videos, you mentioned how as long as you use AI content the right way,
Right.
then in terms of like having some human intervention or
Hmm.
something in the
Hmm.
middle of it to actually infuse it. But I remember you said something specifically, even following that process, you said this, and I quote, I think for now you are going to be on the safe side.
Oh
I'm
god,
curious. You said that for now. Are you thinking that a Google algorithm update can come out that completely wipes out AI content or something?
man, I don't know. And the thing is that I've been asking all these like legendary SEOs. I spoke to Kyle Roof, spoke to Sam O, Charles Float recently, and I asked these guys the same question. What do you guys like? Do you actually think Google can detect AI content? And most of them say the same thing, that it's going to be really difficult for them to detect AI content, right? At the end of the day, if the content is being edited in some way, if it's being reviewed, how in the world, right? Unless it's like a really clear pattern that I think a lot of these AI content detectors can find with like the simpler forms of GPT-2, for example, and the earlier forms of GPT. I think moving forward, since a lot of these technology is going to improve, and with human editing, I think it's going to be really difficult. I have no, I mean, it's Google, right? So hard to say never,
But are
but
you worried about it? Like, are you,
not
you know,
right
the
now.
thing is,
No,
when it comes to,
not right now.
sorry, yeah, because when it comes to like, if you're doing, okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If I built a niche site back in 2015, there are things that was completely acceptable to do back then that
Hmm.
right now is considered black hat, right? So
Okay.
is it possible that, you know, what people are doing with this AI content, Google getting flooded with AI content right now, and probably will be as the problem gets quote unquote worse, you know?
Hmm.
Um, is there a chance that maybe in the near future Google could be like, you know what you were doing there? I know we allowed it then, but it's not good now, and we're going to completely wipe you out. And how do you do that without taking out people who innocently weren't, you know, were not using
Right.
it?
Yeah. No, it's a
And
great question.
it's hard.
It's a great question. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that, but Google's already said explicitly that they're not really for all this low quality content that's being generated, and I'm not sure if they said it directly or indirectly. Excuse me. Uh, Relating to AI content generation tools, but they're against all this low quality content, right? And
Hmm.
they've been against it for some time. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the space changes, to see how these AI content generation tools improve the actual generation of content. Right, GPT-4 is supposed to be really good. Um, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll
This,
see.
yeah, I agree with you. The space is changing, but it's not going anywhere. And
No.
that's kind of what
Yeah.
I surmise kind of when I
Fingers
look at all of
crossed.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, we're getting close to the end of our time here, John. But let me ask you one more question. How big of a deal is Eat?
Eat's a big deal. Eat's a big deal. Yeah, I'm a big believer in Eat. I try and have an author page that's connected um, to any article or piece of content that needs it. Right. If again you're talking about money, finances, health, anything in legal, any terms um, that have to do with that area of content. I'm a big believer in it, and trying to demonstrate to Google that it's important. And it's really interesting because I'm not sure if you heard about the recent Yandex leak, but obviously we can't connect both things. And if other SEOs are listening to this, they might throw a fit that I'm even mentioning it. But uh, it's relevant to speak about the fact that inside of Yandex, there were, I think, maybe up to 20 different ranking factors that were specifically created for YMYL websites, right? So your money, your life. And so there's definitely Eat inside of Yandex in some form, right? There's definitely, I think Eat is super important inside of Google as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the Yandex leak. It's you know, I mean, get it, I get it. It's not Google, but we are getting kind of a look
It's
into how the
crazy. It's
sausage is
crazy.
made, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because even if they're accurate by 20%, that's more than what we've been able to guess by doing case studies, right? And trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
More than
but
anything, it's
just
just, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, no, no. I just want to say that it's just, you're uncovering another search engine, right? It's not like you're uncovering Jasper AI, you're uncovering a search engine, right? And you're
Yeah,
seeing all the things that's behind there. Again, it's not Google, so we're not going to make any conclusions, but it's so interesting to see how that works.
yeah. And for Eat, just to be clear, it means they added an extra E now, right? So
They
it's
did.
experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you said you mentioned how you would try to link to resources or something to try
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
establish Eat. Is there anything else that you do to establish Eat?
Yeah. So I'm big on working with authors that have some type of relevant experience. Again, hiring writers, as we spoke about in the start, and showing those writers absolutely everywhere on the website, right? Putting them as part of your about page,
Yeah,
just like your editorial team or whatever you want to call it. And then, if again you're talking about those terms, or you're in that space, then have some type of author profile on those pages. Also, yeah, external links or references to anything that's relevant. Honestly, my thing with EAT is I like to, or EAT now, I like to take a look at Healthline and how Healthline is doing things. Those guys have just smashed anything related to EAT. So if you're ever wondering what good EAT looks like, check the Healthline website.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes I like that a lot because you're going to the source. And sometimes, even when I'm working with clients myself, when they're trying to build up their niche sites, I make them afraid of places like Healthline, right? Because as soon as you see it in the search, you're like, all right, another keyword, another keyword.
Yeah.
But I like how you're embracing it and then using them as a guide almost. And if you wanted to know how EAT works, go to the source, right? And that is Healthline, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's the whole thing of uh, the Google doesn't really hide what works, right? If something works, it's going to be on the front page, and even though things can be hacked and things can be altered, there's going to be a reason why things are on the front page. And Healthline is on the front page for hundreds of thousands of medical terms, and yeah, they know what they're doing. So it's important to respect it and see it for what it is.
Yeah, and I tell one thing I do too is kind of using that same thinking of just go to an authority who knows what they're doing and then
Yeah,
copy their success. I do the same thing with affiliates, right? So
yeah,
if I need to know how to structure a good affiliate page, best believe I'm going to go look for like the top VPN sites and see how they
absolutely.
structure the top mattress sites and see how they structure their pages because they've poured, I would assume, millions of dollars into those pages,
Yeah, of course.
just so that they can squeeze every ounce of money that can come out of it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
which makes complete sense.
yeah.
But look, this has been great, man. I mean, I love talking shop. I love being nerdy about SEO and blogging and
Absolutely, me
everything.
too.
This is awesome. Do you have where do you have any place that you can send people? Where would you like people to connect with you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go check out my YouTube channel. There's a lot of interesting content that's coming soon, and yeah, that's it.
All right, cool.
Don't have
Yeah.
anywhere else.
So yeah, no worries. So you said you were on Twitter, right? Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not really that active. I should probably be more active.
Okay.
But
Yo,
YouTube,
SEO Twitter has been like taking
man,
over from
yeah,
what I
it's
can see.
popping. Yeah,
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, be sure to go check out Jama on his YouTube channel, Jama Ross, Jaume, and then Ross ROS. I'll be sure to
yes.
put a link down in the show notes just in
Appreciate it.
case. But thanks so much for being on, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the time.
Would you like to build a blog that's worth at least $100,000? Well, it's easier said than done, but it's very possible with the right type of direction. And sometimes when we are in, what would you say, the comment section of YouTube videos, or maybe we're in some blogging Facebook groups and we're getting information, we're asking questions, trying to build up our traffic and income, a lot of times we can't validate that information is correct until we go on our blog and try it and then realize it was wrong the whole time. And I really hate that. I really would love for more people to avoid bad advice online when it comes to building up a blog, which is why I have created oneblogaway.co. That's oneblogaway.co. I'll be sure to leave a link down in the description and in the first pinned comment. That's oneblogaway.co. There you can get some good information that you can act on, that you are confident in, so that you can continue moving forward with your blogging business to get it to $100,000. There is community there where you can hang out with other bloggers who are also trying to build up their blogs, as well as some full-time bloggers where you can pick their brains literally as to how they were able to build up their businesses. You get to work with me directly as well. There's training there that you can check out so that you can really dive into individual aspects of your business and make sure that you are doing them 100% correct as well. And finally, we have live coaching that you can check out right there face-to-face with me. So if you're serious about building up your blog, to get it to $100,000 or to replace your income or whatever you'd like to do, be sure to go check out oneblogaway.co. A link will be in the description and in the first pinned comment.